Is bullying in the USA really as terrible as it appears to be? There's a really good joke in 21 Jump Street where adults have to pretend to be high school students. They go in with the expectation that they have to appear tough. But then they realize the younger generation doesn't work that way and they get shamed for trying to pick a fight with a gay kid. Also, to add to OP's question, does the school, teachers, principal, etc. really do nothing when students are getting bullied? In my country, in some cases the police even get involved when things get physical. 20 years ago there were a lot of fights. But I don't think kids do that as much anymore. The bullying is real though. And the girls are so nasty to each other. I'm actually dealing with this right now. I think it depends on the area. My niece goes to a horrible school and was threatened to be shot. Just recently. She's in elementary school. I think it depends more on your class than on the country you live in. I live in France, where I've witnessed physical bullying. But much more social bullying, if that makes sense. Mocking, rejecting, and all that stuff that is sneaky and that bullies can easily hide. I've had a hard time for a few years. And I'm glad social media were not as developed back then as they're now. So yeah, depends on you school, the area you live in more than the country itself to me. It's not as bad as the movies portray it, no. Does it happen? Yes. Movies will have you believe there is just a dedicated bully or group of bullies in every school that just beat kids up and take their lunch money. That isn't true for the most part. It's the same all the way around. It's way more common to just get the normal verbal abuse. You are ugly. Your clothes are dirty. Blah blah. All the typical things a child might find important and a reason to pick on someone. My generation's experience wasn't like that as much. I did get into a fight in school though. Having been a kid in the 90s in Belgium, bullying was often also physical. Between boys at least. I know for the past decades, the government has tried and done a lot to prevent bullying among kids. In my perception it has become better, except that now bullying also happens more and more online. Not that kids should be on social media. Might as well give them cigarettes and alcohol. Anyways, now being a nerd seems to be a cool thing. Back in my days you would be beaten up for being a nerd. Times have changed. When I was in high school I had a friend from Norway. He said bullying was way worse over there. He told me students would pull students out during class and beat them up in the hallway and the teachers would just ignore it. I don't know if he was telling me the truth or not. But schools in the US do a lot to prevent bullying, including having teachers trained to stop it and having police officers. It most certainly still happens. Yes, it is. I used to get bullied every single day from 6th grade through 11th and it was rough. Had it not been for the internet, I don't think I'd be here today. People fucking suck. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. And bullies were much worse back in those days. I was the very anti-bully guy, and since I'm a big guy it helped. I was always afraid to confront the people who picked on others, because I didn't want to come across as being a bully. But all these years later, I've seen or spoken to a few people who I grew up with or saved. And they and most of my old schoolmates say that they were glad to have me around. I'm just not a fan of violence in any form whatsoever. And unfortunately helping others as I got older cost me. No, I have never in my life seen someone get physically assaulted while being bullied. It was only as you stated. Just verbally. Poorer community equals more bullying. With questions like this, you have to realize that the United States is larger than the entire continent of Europe, so there are probably localized issues, but like most American stereotypes, it's not as bad as you think. Hi. Teacher here. This is a tough question to answer. Because yes, it really bad. Especially in school systems, there are a lot of great things implemented in school systems to help reduce bullying too. That being said, a majority of bullying is done over social media. Students are ruthless behind a phone or computer. More often than not, it ends up in arguments and fights in school. So overall, yes, it is very bad. When I was a kid, the quickest method of dealing with a bully was by fighting back. Fortunately for me, my principal at the time knew what was going on, so whenever I was sent to the office for beating up a bully, I was asked one question before being released. Did you start it? Because the answer was always no. Bullying has gone next level with social media, since most people now rely on that for validation. And so it can destroy them as well. Along with that, the impersonal nature of social media means that people are more likely to hurt for fun. And it's done publicly for all to see with a far wider reach. I imagine it's less of an issue for countries that don't have the same technology and permissiveness of these things in their culture. And in those more traditional households, someone still takes the time to raise their kids, as opposed to the West, where the responsibility is offloaded to the public school system because both parents value work above the job of raising strong families with strong values. I'm sure there are some ways that all of these interconnect with the development of mental resilience that helps people learn to cope with stress. But I'm no scientist.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.